Okay, I thought I'd do another little video on this one of my videos, what I like to call Real Talk. It's my sunny, Monday afternoon in the UK. Well, it looked like it was going to rain, but anyway. Anyway, this particular subject matter, which I kind of discussed about in different videos, is about selfish people. And basically, it's going to be my experiences on selfish people and what to do and what not to do with people like that, and how it affects other people in this world. And one of the things I've never liked selfish people. Now, you get two types of selfish people. You get the people who basically know what it is that they're doing, and then you get the other kind of selfish people that are not aware of what they're doing, but equally it's quite annoying in the way that people kind of behave. And to me, obviously living in the UK, and I suppose it is everywhere around the world, is that selfish people don't care about who it is that they're hurt. They don't have any remorse or any feeling on how they treat and how they use people, which is one of the most horrible things. And to me, we seem to live in a society where we just don't seem to care about anything but ourselves in this world. And I can understand it in a kind of a way, like if you got your family and then you have to do what's best for your kind of family in one sense. So I kind of get that. But then at the same time, it doesn't mean that you throw people under the bus, so to speak, to get what you want in life. And then some of these people, they will do anything to get wherever it is they want, and then not care about the people that it is that they hurt, or the damage that they inflict on other people. And for me, that's not the way I was raised. I was always raised on how you treat people in this world, in the sense that you basically treat people on how you expect people to treat you. So, for example, I was always brought up to have manners and to have respect, even though, again, respect has to be earned. And obviously, if you're nice to other people, you're nice to other people, you expect people to be nice to you in the way that you're treating them. Now, at the same time, if people sit there and start treating like crap, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not kind of going to tolerate someone treating me like crap. So, someone treats you like crap, you're not going to sit there and carry on doing good things to them and then just sit there and take it. Now, there was a time in my younger days when people used to do things to me and use me and do horrible things to me, and I didn't confront them. And it wasn't because, for me, that I was scared or afraid of kind of standing up to people or not putting up in how I felt that people were doing things to me. It was more to do with the fact that I'm not the kind of person where I like to go into confrontation and then you start, like fighting with somebody for no apparent kind of reason over the way that the person's behaving, because you end up exhausting all that energy, and especially if that particular person in question is ignorant. And again, this applies to selfish people as well, that it doesn't matter how you try to argue with somebody and try to say to them that they're wrong or the way they're hurting you, they don't seem to be able to sit. You can't change the minds of a way that particular person in question is. So it's like you're just basically just wasting your time and energy. And so to me, I just felt like it was kind of just a waste of time, and kind of like doing what I'm doing, right? So you can't argue with people, as I said before, who I like to call, or who are ignorant, because it's just all selfish, because you're never going to change the way that person is. So that's why I never used to say, for example, confront people with certain actions. But yeah, I mean, I've had friends who as soon as the grass was greener, using that particular term, or they would get or they'll get a better offer elsewhere from someone else, they would just drop it like a a rock and then just go elsewhere because of that particular person in question. I don't know whether they had more than what you have, they're more exciting to be with, would have got more to offer, they would sit there and do that. I even had that with exes, where the same thing, where as soon as I guess that they saw that there was somewhere where somebody had a better offer to somebody that was better than you, they would just get rid of you, and then they would be all happy because now that all the things, the particular elements that they may wanted in life, whether it's money or a bad boy or a kid, now they don't kind of now they've got what they want. They're all happy now, and then living a life of happiness, which I'm all for people, you know, being happy and having ambition and wanting things. But it's when in life when you do it at the expense of other people's lives, and they don't realize how much they're kind of hurting people. And as I said, there was a time when people did, as I matured from, you know, like not wanting to confront people, I'm the kind of person where if someone does something, I want to have answers to why someone's doing something. Or sometimes you maybe would blame yourself because you think maybe maybe it's me that's done something wrong, and that's why people are shunning you or treating the way you are. And for me, it's like, as I got older, I started and more mature, I started to realize that, you know, it's not me, it's those people. And when you've got people who behave selfish, you're better off without people in your life, right, just dragging it down and not seeing your worth or what you have to offer. And sometimes it can be hard when maybe a lot of people are doing it, and then you basically are on your own because you have nobody. But to me, you're better off of having people. You're better off having nobody around you than having fake people around you, so to speak. And I'd have people where, you know, like when I used to try to get answers, you'd either get people that would ignore you, or people that would try to blame, not try to blame me, but they would, yeah, that's the right word, they would try to blame you and say, oh, it's you, and the reason why they're doing this is because they're doing this and doing that. And then half the reason why they really were doing that was simply just because of the fact that people don't want to take responsibility for their actions, so it's easier to pass off the blame onto other people because it clears their conscience. And it kind of goes back full circle to when the video I did regarding the increase in cost of living, where people, there was a time when I used to think that maybe the selfish people were in the minority, and now I realise now that it's people are in the majority. I mean, you could just sit there in life and you could just look, somebody you just walk around, you could just see it in people's faces, where I know not everyone's happy with their life and maybe their job and health and stuff, but it's when you kind of take it out onto other people. And then we seem to, especially in the UK, we seem to live in a society now where we just don't even care anymore. Nobody wants to help other people, or if you're in a position where you can help lift up somebody, then you kind of do that. But nobody wants to do that anymore. And as before, you're seeing things like, I know, with like crime and people being killed, and like the story about, obviously, that 9-year-old girl that got killed by that gunman who was chasing after somebody for whatever reason. The guy barges through the door. The mother tries to stop the guy. The second person who chased after the guy ends up injuring the mum, and then shooting the 9-year-old kid. And now you imagine it's somebody that young being shot and being killed and not being able to live the life that they should have lived, not being able to have the family, not being able to, you know, like to go to school, have a family, you know. And then the person who ends up doing that, killing that, has no remorse and no feeling for the fact that they just taken away an innocent life. And maybe there's probably people that even know who the person that did it, and nobody wants to sit there and wants to say anything. And I just don't understand. And then that's what I was saying. I know it's with crime and certain things, it's a lot more complicated than just the selfishness, but because there are probably other factors that are going into why people do certain things. But it just seems to me that we seem to live in a society where we're just selfish. We only just care about ourselves. Look at the cost of it, and we saw it during the pandemic in the UK, and I suppose this was similar across the world, where people were just scrambling for food. I mean, people like the elderly, and then people were working in the health system weren't getting any food, and then people were taking all the water and all the toilet paper and all the food, and then the elderly didn't have nothing. And then, or we have things like Black Friday, where people sit there and then kind of get greedy, and then are willing to fight and push for each other just to sit there to get a cheaper product. Yeah, and I can understand it, where you want to get to that product before it sells out first. But the fact that you have people are fighting over the product and trampling over each other just to get what they want. I mean, this isn't what human nature is supposed to be about. And as I said before about the cost of living, where you have people that just don't seem to kind of care, and even about what's going on, and they're not prepared to do anything about it. And even the people, and even when it does, and even some of the people that don't seem to care because it doesn't affect them, and even if it eventually does, where maybe they might lose their job, or you know, they have to take a serious pay cut, even then people like that still don't change. They still only fundamentally just care about themselves. I was in my local market a few days ago, and over the weekend actually, and then somebody was protesting, the socialist was protesting about the cost of living, and then our people are struggling, which, you know, people have got every right to do, and it's actually true. And I saw these two couples, like a couple, sorry, walking past, and they must have been about in their 50s, so they're old enough to be like my parents, so they're quite old. And then I heard them say, if I remember, that's the word they used. They used a word similar to the word of calling a person being a sap, simply because that they're speaking out about something that they believe is wrong. And I admire people who have got the guts, even if they're in a minority, but they've got the guts to speak out against something that they know, in fact, they know what's wrong, even if they're just a single voice. And you have people like that, as I said before, that calling that person a sap, simply just because they're speaking out against it. And then those same people, you can probably tell that they probably kind of well off, and not well off as in like a billionaire or a millionaire, but you know, they're kind of well off to a point where these things aren't going to affect them in any shape or form. Otherwise, you wouldn't sit there and make those kind of comments. So I don't understand why people can be, as I said before, people can be so selfish in their kind of behaviour in same as that, and it's very easy to be like that, and then these things, for example, don't affect you. But just because something may not affect you, it doesn't mean that you ignore it and you don't believe that what's going on is right, because you can stand up to someone and say, you know what, yeah, that particular issue isn't affecting me, but to what's going on with that particular subject matter, it's wrong. And I think there's no common sense anymore, and there seems to be no the moral compass of what is right and what is wrong in this world. And it's like, as long as it doesn't affect me, then why the hell should I sit there and care? And that's why I said it goes back to this complete, utter lack of selfishness. And then what makes it even worse is, I know this is going to be a bit bleak, but I just personally don't see it changing at all, because I think it's kind of too far gone in a sense of the fact that people just don't care. I know it's society has always been like this, even before, in my younger days when I was a kid, and even before I was even born, it's always been like that. But I've never seen a society where people are just so uncaring and then just so selfish. And if you speak up against it, you'll get called an SGW, or you get called a sap, or whatever it is that or woke, or whatever it is that they kind of want to use. But it's just simply about speaking out against something that you know that is wrong, and you shouldn't have to sit there and put up with something if something is wrong. But people don't seem to care, as I said, as long as it doesn't affect them. And even when it does, they're still selfish. But I just don't have much hope in that things are gonna change, because if you're gonna in this world bury your head in the sand and then think a problem is gonna go away, then it's kind of not. And if you're living in this world in a life where you've got money, if it's going right for you, it doesn't mean that something can't go wrong, because it can happen. But as I said, this is the way that people are, and then that's when I kind of just believe that the way that people are being selfish, that it's just not kind of gonna change it in my book, and it's kind of really kind of unfortunate that that's just the way that it's kind of gonna be now. And then, as I said before, it's only the people that, you know, the good people who are, I think, are in a minority that end up suffering, because they're usually the victims of people's selfishness. And as I said before, I'm all for people having ambition and people bettering themselves and having something, you got something to strive for, or a place you want to be, or what you want to get. But it should never be at the expense of what somebody else does. If people kind of see where I'm coming from. But it's just, I just don't understand why, for example, why people have, you know, have become that way, or maybe they already were, but where they're just selfish. And as I said before, what I said earlier on in my statement, I've known people where as soon as they get the particular thing that the things that they want in life, they just totally just blow you out now, because they've got the life that they want. And sometimes if something goes wrong, they'll come running back again. And then sometimes you'll be lucky and you get the people that don't bother with you, which in some ways is a good thing. But yeah, as I said, people are just selfish, and they don't care about who it is that they kind of hurt. And then this is why I like doing these real talk things, because sometimes in the thing that the truth of what goes on in this world, not just selfishness, but with other factors that go on in society, people don't want to speak up and tell the truth for what the world or for what people or the way things really are. People just want to sit there and kind of put on like a mask, so they look like everything's all right, but in reality, we take off that mask, people aren't. Or if you kind of, as I said before, you bury your head in the sand and you kind of act ignorant, you sit there and you kind of believe that problem will that if I just sit there and close my eyes and bury my head, that problem's gone now. But it's still there. It's only just get worse. And if people just accepted certain things that were going on and the way we treat each other, and open their eyes, and things would get better, not just in this country, in the UK, but in the world in general. But it's just not going to happen as long as people are just ignorant and selfish. And then, as I said, it's kind of just really unfortunate that I don't really see it kind of changing. And then I don't know, sometimes I just wonder if maybe it's just me that's just interpreting the world in a different way, or maybe I'm the only one that's got a set of balls to sit there to say how things really are. Because as they say in this world, sometimes the truth hurts. And it's only when you can accept something for what something really is, that's when you're able to then move on from where you are. But if you don't accept the problems and the things that are in this world, and admit to what's going on, and then try to do something about it, and then as a collective unit, then things aren't going to change. And that's why with things like crime, and I said crime and burglary, and the way that we kind of look and the way we treat each other as human beings, no matter where you are in the world, that's why it's got so bad. Because we just let the world get to where it is. And as the old saying goes, you get the society that you kind of deserve. So if you sit there and you want to live a good, decent life, and then everybody's like that, then you'll get a good society. But if you've got a society where people don't care about each other. They've got no respect for each other. They'll use you, they'll kill you, they'll steal from you, and then there's no sense of respect or morality or manners. Then you're gonna get a bad society. So anyway, that's that off my chest. I mean, I hope everyone's doing okay wherever they are in the world, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Take care and bye for now. And wherever you're in the world, stay safe.